Well, hello everyone, and welcome to another episode of Harebrained Games, The Week in Games. It has been an interesting couple weeks since I last did a Week in Games, to be sure. I hope you all are doing well. I hope that you are grappling with the ever popular topic of the coronavirus. Many friends of mine are in hunker down mode. As some of you know, I live in the Kirkland, Washington area, which has been the epicenter of some of the most egregious outbreaks of the coronavirus thus far. We've had quite a few of our people in nursing homes passing away, and it has been quite a different world, I have to tell you. The worst outbreak area is in this area, so I can tell you that the streets are kind of a ghost town these days compared to their usual far too trafficked hustle and bustle. Buses that I've taken to work are nearly empty. Lots of workplaces are just flat out canceling or having people work from home. It's very different. Food is in abundance. Cleaning supplies are not. That is the thing I would have anticipated. It's a fantastic time to be an introvert. But to be serious, though, there are people on both sides. I understand that some people are calling the panic far worse than the virus, and other people are quite afraid of the virus because of its unknown effects. I'm kind of in the middle, taking precautions, being wise, but opportunities are what they are, so I will live my life. Not going to live dead. So I hope you guys are doing well. I'm curious if anybody else has any stories. I know what it's like being in the middle of attention area. I do have family and friends in nursing homes who are very concerned, and so I do not take it lightly. But with that, let's get back to different times and call this the news. All right. Another game coming from some of our dear friends who created some great games recently. Jungle Cruise is a new board game that's going to be coming out, themed after the Jungle Cruise ride from Disney. The important thing is whether or not I get to be Skipper Dan. But I hope that comes out in as well received as I hope it will be, but something to keep in mind. Those of you who have been interested in Firefly, the series, and have an appreciation for what I do and have collected everything for what I do are going to be absolutely ecstatic. There is a new Firefly in the works. It is called Firefly Dance, and it has nothing to do with the series. Instead, it's a labor of love from, I believe his name is Joseph Malou. I'm sure I mangled that. But it is a game for ages 4 and up, with a delightful little twist on fireflies and kind of a memory game, a dice chucking game. It's just found a publisher, I believe, from Korea, and I'm looking forward to seeing it. Although I have to say, when it comes to fireflies, people love fireflies, but they forget they're flies. Okay, so they make colors. We'll find out. It begins. And finally, sad news. It has been over a week, and not one Lord of the Rings game or news about a Lord of the Rings game has been announced. Okay, second of silence over. Let's get to my question of the week. So, question of the week. Tim, why don't you ever do those top 10 games of 2019? I never see them. That was a question asked. And the answer is I do. I actually do make top 10 games of 2018. I think I've done them 3 years in a row. I just never publish them. It's just weird because I get around to it, and as soon as I get around to doing it, I just start to feel like, does the world really need yet another top 10? And so I don't. Instead, I sporadically do some sort of top 10. Matter of fact, I have a top 10 thing coming up just kind of out of the blue. But yeah, I do them. By the time I get around to them, there's like 900 top 10 lists. And I'm like, probably there's enough overlap there. You don't need another one from me. And on that, let's get to 3 games. All right, game number 1 is a tiny expansion called Teotihuacan Shadow of Zidal. And it is a really small there. Let's just do a review of it right now, shall we? You get this, and you get this, and this with some promos. That's literally it. Is it worth it? Well, the price point's cheap. I think it's like 10, 12 bucks. And it does have some pretty interesting extra tiles. Probably not necessary, but hey, for its price point and because I like the game, why not? Next, we have an old-fashioned Martin Wallace game called Onward to Venus. Little-known game, not necessarily one of his most well-received, but it's an interesting twist on going through space and planets and fighting forces. It sort of has this sort of Victorian kind of War of the Worlds kind of vibe, except you're not fighting on our world, you're fighting on all the other worlds. So probably a 6.5 to 7 rating, I think, for it. But for some reason, I keep it because I really kind of like the vibe of it. And then level 7 in wow, this is heavy. Invasion. All right. Why did I pick this up? Because it was 20 bucks, and it's been a lot more expensive in other places. It's a 3 to 5 player game that's basically XCOM in a box. Now, it's very fiddly, I hear. A lot of little different pieces, a lot of stuff, but there was the XCOM real-time game, and I loved that game. I absolutely did, but I don't think it was XCOM in a box. I think it took XCOM and did a very interesting real-time strategy of the high level, but it didn't really get it. I still thought that there were ways to exude the XCOM, global war against aliens feel, and I'm hoping this does it. So we're going to find out. Might even do a review of it. One never knows in this climate. And with that, I think it's time for Alphabet Soup. All right, Alphabet Soup. We are on the letter O. Oh, yeah. And again, surprisingly few games starting with O, but there were enough to compile a reasonably good list of topics. So let's just get rolling. Top of the line, On Mars. On Mars is a magnifique Vital Lacerda game, as most of his games are. It's basically a suitcase full of exquisite, detailed fun. Very interesting twists. As usual, his games are, you can do one of 3 things, and then it explodes into 17 other different things or impacts or situations that come about. And this one is very interesting. Timing is critical in this one. So the last game I played of his was Escape Plan. Really liked it. Probably my favorite. On Mars is definitely the top of the line in the O section. Bottom of the barrel. Oh my God, there's an axe in my head. Probably don't need to add any more detail to that. Came out of nowhere, Onward to Venus, and that's probably why I thought of it for my 3 games. It was a surprise. Martin Wallace has some curious ways of doing games, and this was yet another curious way of doing it. I felt good about playing it, and I think it's a reasonably decent game that I did not expect to be good, but it was. Rags to riches and riches to rags, I don't have a single thing. All of the games with O were ones that I thought I had a good beat on whether I liked them or not, and they were about what I expected. So there weren't any I love this and now it sucks, or it sucks, but now I love it kind of moments. Meaty Mighty Manwich goes back to On Mars. This game is a meaty mighty Manwich of a game. As usual, Vital Lacerda games are. Definitely not something you can throw onto a table in 30 seconds and play and put away. But definitely worth your time. So, Test of Time, the game is Onirim. Onirim was the first of the Shady Torby games that were solitary. His games are all one player, and they always take a unique twist on a well-known format. This is Shuffle City. Shuffle City, where you're shuffling. But I really like it. In fact, I still think it's probably my favorite of the games, even though he's had games where you're building fortresses, games where you're building airships, games where you're going through undersea diving. This one still is probably the simplest one. It's a deck of cards. You shuffle it and you roll with it and you play it. And I never feel like I don't know. It's got a kind of a nice solitaire free cell kind of vibe to it as far as being able to win. I win more often than I lose without adding some of the extras. But anyway, Onirim, Comeback Tour. A game I would like to see is a game called Orders Up. I bought this for my daughter when she was 5. And it was a really fun deliver pizzas around the neighborhood game, except it really wasn't fun, but I loved playing with her, so she made it fun. But I'd love to see more of a delivery game that's got a little bit more logic and a little less roll the dice, move, and see what you. I mean, this is not a good game. This almost was the bottom of the barrel. But it was very, very cool to see the idea of, and I still think sort of a pizza and deliver game would be awesome to revisit and recreate. Finally, honorable mentions theme, Okanagan. Going with my father over the mountains to the Okanagan County and being in those rural old areas and those old towns with their western vibe, and then seeing this game, I thought, I don't know. It's one of those things where you make a connection and it resonates. Maybe not for everybody, but for me. And artwork, OCEANOS is a game that I thought was amusing. It was an Antoine Baza game that has great little pieces, very fun pieces. The game is pretty simple, except in a couple places where it gets a little complex, and then it makes it hard to get it to people who like simple games because of these trip-ups. But anyway, I thought it was great artwork. And with that, we are at a close. I hope you guys are doing well. Take care, stay safe, and we'll see you next time on Harebrained Games.